here again today to give you some more videos on some more gardening tips and whatnot. Today I kind of want to go over a mixture of things. I've kind of had to delay on videoing. If you've been in Oklahoma recently, I'm very bad at shaking, sorry. If you've been in Oklahoma recently or been keeping up with the weather nationwide, here in the Central Plains, we've been having major alerts on severe weather. One of those places here, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. We've been having major threats of tornadoes this last week, and I'm sure a lot of you know I am asking prayers. Luckily, we are fortunate. We've been okay. We've had several warnings out by our house, but luckily no severe damage that I'm aware of. The closest damage to us was in Drumright. Building lost its roof, but nobody was harmed. No businesses were affected, and whatnot. However, prayers for Holdenville. They lost, as last I report, was 4 people. One of those was a 4-month-old baby. I can't imagine losing a child, much less a baby. Marietta, I hadn't heard any reports of any fatalities there. However, the town was pretty severely damaged. Cordell was also damaged. Also, I hadn't heard, luckily, that nobody was affected by that as in loss of lives. But the main one is Sulphur, Oklahoma. They were severely damaged. Pretty much the town was wiped off the map. There was at least one fatality that I'm aware of, which is fortunate for the family. However, luckily it was just one, considering the amount of damage that was going on there. On the flip side of things, I'm trying to get as much videoing in between family events going on. My daughter, she plays fast pitch travel ball, and today we get to go to Hera, Oklahoma, and see her play. So we've been having jam-pack schedule recently amongst the weather. Her tournament last weekend was canceled, so they tried to reschedule a different tournament for the team, and so that's where we're going today. But I'm going to try and get a few things in this video for y'all. Mostly gardening. I kind of wanted to go over weed eating, and not much on suppressing weeds, but just identifying your weeds amongst your garden. Some of the common weeds that you will kind of find in your garden. I'm not going to go too extensive in this video. What I'll do is we'll get a start on this as kind of part 1, if you want to say. However, I will kind of go more extensive in another video, probably in the next video, when I get a little more time to get something together. So this week and into, I guess, next week, we just have plenty of activity on weather. Also, part of this video, I've had some requests on how to kind of get your homestead together, and I just wanted to show you kind of the layout of my homestead, just to kind of give you an idea how we have had things organized here. Now, this homestead here has been put together, as you can see, the carport in the background. It's one of those things. When we bought this place, it was kind of a start from ground up in a sense. We had a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, single wide trailer house that we bought for really cheap at the time. We were very, very fortunate. I was a college student at OSU. And I apologize. Missy, get out of there! So we've been on this property for about 13 years actually. Started May 1st. So yay! Time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, I've slowly we have really converted this place over the years to meet our family's needs. And a lot of times that's what it takes, is finding that property. And sometimes you just got to make a property work for what it's worth. As I've said before, you know, some people are not fortunate to have that kind of money to get the ideal property. And unfortunately, when we bought this place, as I said, I was a college student, and so I was in the military, in the Army Reserves, and just wasn't making a whole lot of money. So we were in between finding a rental or finding a place to buy, and it was kind of a last minute decision to go ahead and buy. Mainly for us, it was because we have livestock. I raise boar goats. They're my pride and joy, other than my babies, my girls. And I also had a couple of horses at the time. And I'm sure you've seen my wonderful gelding. His name is Derby. He's a wonderful horse. He's been in my life with me since he's 8 months old. And he's now in his teens. He's in his upper teens now. I gotta check his birth certificate. But my girls love to ride him, and he's just really turned into my second lawnmower. No, he's great. We go trail riding and all that. But you can kind of see that reality of owning a homestead. Everything's under our back porch because of the weather. But, you know, in reality too, if you can't tell, my grass needs mowing. And my mower is broken, so he's kind of my backup lawnmower. So Wendy, hurry up and fix my lawnmower so I can mow my grass. Yes, I'm talking to you. I'm kidding. I like to joke a lot and have a little fun. So this is one of the benefits of having goats, is seeing the little ones born and growing up. It's an oddly pair. That's Mama. Those are the babies. Somebody was with the milkman. Pumpkin. So, when I got into goats, it's a long story short, my sister-in-law was married to a gentleman that his family were in boar goats, and I got into it myself. And they've been a love-hate relationship overall. I love them. They're great. The babies are wonderful. So one of the things about homesteading, it's been a very long learning curve for sure. the main thing, advice that I can give you is, I love it, is that it's a learning curve. Over the years, I've experimented on a lot of things. Learning how to do soap making, gardening, and just dipping my hands and feet into all sorts of stuff. And it's has had its challenges for sure. So, for instance, this right here, my fence looks all wonky, and there's a story behind that. So we started out with our sheep goat fence, which is this right here, but it's like waist high, and I've had to slowly add cattle panels because my horse, he likes to put his head over the fence and push it down. And then, as you can see here, as a matter of fact, is a good spot where the goats have spread the holes out in the fence and have pushed their head through. Yes, I have electric fence. However, we've been having issues with it. I don't know if it's the box or the owners. However, we're just slowly adding cattle panels. It's a little more durable. Don't get me wrong, horses do cause damage to it, but not as easy as the sheep and goat fence. So I've had to improvise, and this is another thing too that you can think of if you're doing homesteading, is how to take a primary thing that you use it for, and I have converted this into a hay feeder. So now that I got double panels here, since it's high up here, I'll put hay in there, and the cattle panel holds it. So that's why this panel is kind of leaning backwards. My horse broke electric fence, and that's why it looks like that. Now this wire right here is just hay wire. This brown stuff is just baling twine. It's one of those things you don't throw away. I've learned never to throw this away because you never know when you need it. Because even if you don't have fence clips, you can use baling twine. It works really well. Over the years, we've had collected materials, for instance, to build shelters. Our neighbor, he does barndominiums, and that's how we were able to get our new house built. And he has collected scraps of sheet metal, and he was fortunate enough to give us sheet metal, and I was able to build a lean-to for this pen here. Over here, it looks trashy. I apologize. This is a shade cloth I've put over here, so eventually it will get too hot and I'll have to use that shade cloth to cover some of the vegetable plants. But the barrels there, I've acquired. The main thing with the barrels, especially if you're putting water in them, you want to make sure they're food grade safe. I've just cut holes in those that I can put in pins, and it could be multiple things. Some people use them to as little baby goat huts for kids to stay warm in. They'll put a lamp here on the top, a heating lamp, and in the winter time, so they'll have a place to get warm. But these 2 barrels I have converted into hay feeders. Over the years too, you know, when we bought this place, we started with this back area to be fenced in for the animals. This place was not fenced at all. And it took some time to obviously build it up. But we have another paddock that we didn't initially have fenced off, and I think probably about 5 years later we finally fenced it off to expand, even though we own the property. So beyond those trees we have a south paddock that was not initially fenced at first. And then a few years later, when we got the money, we eventually added on. The only thing about this place that we're in debt with is the new house. This whole land was purchased, paid off. The fencing was purchased under a loan and paid off, because it was just something essential. But over years we've just kind of, you know, found sales, or I've found sales. For instance, I got this from a friend of ours that I show goats with, and he wanted to just get rid of it, and goats now use it as a toy. No, I'm just kidding. It's called a creep feeder. Use it when we have a lot of babies and we're trying to feed them. It helps with their growth. But over the years, you know, pallets I acquired from work, they just throw them away, so I just bring them here and use them. I'm in the midst of fixing that. Goats like to fight each other a lot. But this carport was given to me by my parents. They like to flip houses and they didn't want this carport anymore, so I brought it home and converted it into a barn. So that's why it looks as rough as it does. We've just over the years made it work. I'll take you in here. So it looks rough on the outside, but I've used pallets, goat panels. For instance, this is my hay feeder. I'm able to feed goats in this pen and in this pen. And then I have in here, but in the wintertime I have these heat lamps that I turn on, especially when it gets absolutely cold. And I have a straggler that's like, follow me now, BB. That's Pilgrim and BB. That's mommy and daughter. They're good girls. Here's another thing I've improvised with. This is kind of my hay shelter. Sorry about it. Looks like I have trash in here, but that's actually a bag of guttering spout. Because eventually I'm going to get my rain barrels set up to collect rain, because it's very, very beneficial to your plants. That was an extra mineral feeder I have. Most of them I turned into planters, but I do have one over here for the goats when I was pinning some of them up, and I use them. I need to dump it, but I put water in it. It's just another pen. That hay rack was given to me, I think, by my mother-in-law. You know, just slowly have collected stuff. But yes, some of these goat panels I've purchased from friends. Some of them are brand new that I've just added on. But I wanted to come over here. This is what I'm talking about. This is all the rain that we've gotten. I got all these weeds that I need to mow down. So this is another one of my flower beds, and I need to come in here and weed. But as you know, I have tons of irises. This is another bed I have. But this guy, this is our neighbor to the north of us, and he didn't do this as in to be mean or anything. He's a wonderful guy. He was the one that built our house. He improvised by using extra sheet metal to build his fence along with our property. And mainly it's just because he's got goats, and I am honestly pretty glad because I don't have to worry about nose-to-nose contact with his goats. Nothing against his goats or anything, but you know, I try to keep my herd a clean, closed herd, which no herd is going to be a true closed herd. A closed herd means they're not usually goats coming in and out or livestock coming in and out of the property consistently. A lot of the goats I get are from high-end sellers because they're show goats. His goats are more as pets that he has purchased from sales or from other owners that, you know, I don't want to speak ill of anybody, but they usually don't practice good herd husbandry, and I can go into that in a different video. But the end result is it's nice to not have to worry about transmitted disease or parasites. So I have a couple sunflowers here, and main reason I planted sunflowers is yes, I love sunflower seeds. My daughter loves sunflower seeds, but I also planted them for beneficial insects. That being said, hummingbirds, when you plant flowers and whatnot, they love some of the flowers. So I didn't put just hummingbird feeders just to attract them. I put them out to attract them to my garden. And they are very, very good for your garden. So weed control. This is a weed I need to get out. And right now, with a little bit of time that I have, I'm at least going to come out here and pull the seed heads off these plants until I can get out here officially and get that out of there. I'm not worried about these being pulled up, but as you could tell, this is something that does not belong here in my garden. So that's one thing you can kind of differentiate what is a weed and what is a flower. Now, in the fall, or I wouldn't say fall, early summer, here pretty soon, I will cut these back. These are iris blooms that have died off, and they are going to seed. And if I had a seed pod, I would show you, but I don't. But yeah, I would come back in here and cut these back. I tried not to have seed pods form, mainly because I have tons of irises as it is, and I don't need any more. One other thing in here. Now, here, I know this is a potato plant. This is one of my stragglers because I had potatoes in here one year. And every once in a while when you pull up vegetables from previous years, you may not get everything. So, you get random vegetable plants. Bermuda grass is the bane of my existence. Thing with Bermuda grass is you got to get it completely by the rhizome. You have to dig into the ground to dig it up. And you can see when I'm pulling. Now, they're not totally bad, because what I'll do is eventually take it over here and put it where I want it to go. I do like my Bermuda grass. It's good for my goats and my horses. But I just don't want them in my garden. They are very easy to pull up when you have a rain, so if you can, get out here right after a good rain, and that'd be the good time to even pull up weeds. Here's another plant. Now, this looks identical to my irises. Difference is the leaves are not as thick and the consistency is different. You can also see that it looks like grass because the line, whereas my irises don't have that as much. You also see the seed head right there. Now, the only reason I have this in my garden, this is oats. The only reason I have this in my garden is because I had a little incident a while back where I had an opossum get into my horse feed. Well, if you know anything about horses, you cannot give feed that opossums have had contact with, whether it's hay or grain, to your horses, because it can cause what they call EPM. It's a neurologic disease, and sometimes it's not curable. For the most part, it's not curable. This is what I'm talking about. Bane of my existence! Ah! They're everywhere. But yeah, you have to really dig into the ground. Now, my first video I explained that you don't want to till this under, because you cut those rhizomes up, they're just going to flourish even more. So that's what's hard, is I'm going to have having time to come in here and pulling this out. There are some certain plants throughout your garden, even your yard, that you may have, that's Missy, that are not necessarily bad plants to have. You know, people like the lush garden or grass yard. When you live out in the country, this is what you get. And this is what happens when your friend says she's going to fix your mower and she doesn't. I'm kidding. She's in the process of getting a part ordered and it's just delaying. But I'm not totally upset, because again, dandelions, for instance, for years and years and years, as long as I have known, dandelions was a big no-no to have in your yard. And you can have those in your garden too. The thing about dandelions is they have a big long root. I will kind of show you a difference between a rhizome root versus a taproot. A taproot goes super deep into the ground, and they can be very, very challenging to pull out, and if you don't get the whole root, the plant will come back. So but dandelions have turned into a good thing. I have a friend that actually made a dandelion jelly here recently. You just come out and pick the flower before it goes into the seed that you know all too well that you picked as a kid, and you blew them all over the yard. I did, yeah, there's one. They get humongous. and there's no reason that I have this here. I'm shaking really bad, sorry. There is no reason that I have that still here, I just haven't got to it, but you can see how big that sucker will get. Now, weeds like this, and bear with me, I'm not a very big on weed names, I just know what a weed looks like, but besides I know this is your crabgrass right here, and you can see I have a weed barrier down, but it's been here for a few years and it's due to be replaced. But you have different types of weeds here alone that can be mistaken as flowers or vegetables. I know that's horsetail, I believe, if I remember right. Bear with me, again, I'm not good with names, but that would be something you would want to pull up. The reason I point this out and this out can be mistaken as marigold. Marigold is very good in your garden because it does repel certain insects. Here is some other plants, and you can see how well they come up when it rains. We've had such good rain that it's been nice. Now, there's a plant that's very, very controversial. I'm going to get chewed out for calling this, but I've always known it as the wandering Jew. This plant, even for years, I thought it was actually a plant, a flower, because it has beautiful purple flowers on it. But this plant is so invasive that I'm always pulling these suckers up everywhere. And you don't get rid of them as they're babies, they will take over your garden. I am so stoked about this plant. This is called the bleeding heart. And as you can see why it's called the bleeding heart. This plant has a funny history that I will have to share in another video because I don't want to make this video too long. But here's some more what you call wandering Jew. And it gets really long. It's hard to show here, but they're just getting tall there. But they get long that they look like they're putting runners out. So when you pull weeds, you're pulling by the base of the plant as far down as you can. And sometimes you have to dig your finger into the dirt to help assist that root out of the ground. Because if you don't, it's kind of pointless coming out here and pulling these weeds, and they'll just come right back. This plant right here, I kind of want to show you. It kind of looks a lot like my carrots. Some people call this a wild carrot. However, when you pull this up and you can see it's a mature plant, there's nothing there. Sometimes what you can do is when you're pulling weeds up, see what's in your lawn. For me, I can see what's in my lawn being out in the country, because that's what's going to be growing into your flower beds or your vegetable beds. Here I was talking about Bermuda. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, that's not a very good one. You can see kind of here, they look like dead little branches, but those are actually roots. They're rhizome roots. Oh, get a good video here. Those hair looking things sticking up, those are, it grows along this brown root, and those are roots that as it's growing out, it's putting more roots down, making it more and more challenging to pull up. Here's another one for you. This is another one. Squirrels. They will put things in your garden and you will want to have them for chicken soup, or squirrel soup is better. This is a pecan tree. As much as I love to have a pecan tree, this is not the spot for it. Now what you can also do, if you got good pecan trees around you and you want to keep them, you can. However, my pecan trees are not the good pecan trees and they don't produce very well. But this is a nut tree, as you know of, like pecan pie or pecan pie, however you want to say that. That's what that is. When they get big like this, what you have to do a lot of times is take an actual shovel, because I could sit here and wrap my hand around it and I just broke the stem. But I would have to come in here and dig that up. Here's another one for you. This is actually a phlox. And if you can pick in there and see what is actually a weed, that's a test for you. That right there is weed. That is that wandering Jew that I was talking about. This is what it looks like. Now, I have flowers that I've had over the years that have gone to seed and come back, that I have in my garden also. Big one is 4 o'clocks. Those things can spread like wildfire. But I also keep them around as much as I can, especially right now because they're still spreading, is because if you ever have seen a hummingbird moth, I'll put a picture in there to show you what they look like, but that's exactly what they look like, is a little tiny hummingbird, but they're a moth, and they're fun to watch. The girls love watching them. This one right here is another one. You have to find the main root. This is a whole plant right here. You find the root, and it's a very shallow root, and you just pull it up. That right there is the whole weed. Now you try to get out here when you can to weed, but life happens. Don't give up. But like I said, the point of this whole video is just to kind of give you an idea what some weeds would look like in your garden. And I already got a looker. I got a looker. Watch this. Here they come! Run, 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 run! Hey, pumpkin! As a matter of fact, I have a 4 o'clock right here. That is a flower I just I didn't plant. It went to seed and now is coming out in my garden from last year. So, as a matter of fact, you will look around your space around you to know what's weeds. There you go. My dog's trying to get in my business. But these suckers also come up in my garden. and you can see some right there.